on YouTube, A Better Black America TV, where we seek solutions and resolutions to create a better world. Because if the black got his condition together, the world would be a better place. But did they just blow the election? If you did not know, this is breaking news. Tell a friend that the Harris administration has made their selection for vice president. You know, it wasn't Pete Booty Bud, it wasn't Raphael Warnock or the minority leader, Speaker in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. You know, we put a bolo out on Cory Booker. The selection is a conservative white man. So did they just blow the election? So you telling me you had Megan Thee Stallion twerking in Georgia, and now your VP selection is a conservative white man from one of the whitest states in the union? If you did not know, the state of Minnesota is 77 white, and they roughly have approximately 300,000 black in the state, and they're in between Minneapolis and St. Paul. But how did we get here? And this is why we're doing what we're doing. I got a strange feeling. We haven't seen nothing yet. And it seems like they're in the election like they don't want to win, because how can you win as a Democrat without a Southern strategy? How can you win as a Southern strategy? And welcome to A Better Black America TV. Welcome to A Better Black America Talk radio show. So basically we're interactive. You know, put any question in a comment, we'll communicate. But we would like to know, what is your feel? Is that a good pick? The governor from Minnesota, Governor Tim Waltz, because last time that I checked, the progressive movement and the progressive agenda moving forward. And I heard Kamala Harris on many occasions saying we want to move forward and not backwards. So you went back to the white man. So two lefts make a right and two rights make a left. So now the party, the VP candidate, is a white man, a conservative white man from one of the whitest states in the union. Like I said, it's a fact. It's a fact. I mean, a strategic perspective, how can you win an election without the Southern votes, without the Southern states? Now you have Nevada, the governor of Arizona, even the governor of Pennsylvania, even Virginia, which is a brother. But for some strange reason, somehow they selected Tim Waltz from Minnesota. Just like, you know, and I'm sure Tim Waltz is going to be the most Googled person today because nobody knows who he is. Nobody's never heard of him. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And it seems like the Democratic Party has pretty much lost the election. If the election was held today, there is no way I can see a path to victory. Because when you look at the opposition party, the Trump administration, they have J.D. Vance out of Ohio. So now J.D. Vance out of Ohio will have to debate an old white man named Tim Waltz. And then if you look at the, J.D., would think J.D. would be a Democrat. If you look at J.D.'s background, he's his mother suffered with addiction at the the RNC. He spoke on his mother being sober for the last 10 years. He was raised by his grandmother. So he resonates more so with the working class, with the poor whites, and with the blacks. I can understand because a large volume of blacks were raised by parents that suffered through addiction, that was raised by a grandparent or somebody outside of the family, and the statistics, makes that clear today. Of the Democratic side not doubling down on this progressive agenda, because like I said, Pete Booty Bud is the Secretary of Transportation. He's a openly gay conservative. He's a Democrat. And you would think that, celebrating pride and the investment in sex, the Democratic Party would actually double down, and actually it's, all his eggs in a basket, and pretty much take the gay card, the liberal card. because anyone that's from the LGBTQ community got family members, mother, got a father that loves them, and they could basically swing that way, because when you are from that community, you just want to be loved. You just want to be, inclusive. But then when you go a white man who's a registered Democrat, but known as a moderate, which he can actually, basically a moderate can actually is pretty much a Democratic conservative. Okay. He, gun laws, the First Amendment, man, woman through marriage, things like that. So it boggles my mind. And what is the play? It seems like the playing checkers. The game is chess. So strategically, how could this actually help the Democratic Party when the state of Minnesota only have 10 electoral college votes? So say if you do win the state, but what about the rest of the country? Are you going to trust Kamala Harris, the Indo-Jamaican, the non-African American, to win the sub vote? You think people in the South, do you really think that conservative, no, I wouldn't even say conservative, but white women and white men are going to rally behind and swing over to vote for Kamala Harris after doubling down in Georgia, doing a free concert with Megan Thee Stallion, popping and singing and dancing? So what I'm saying is, it seems like the handlers, the powers that be, we are going through what we call a regime change in the nation. Because when you put Tim Waltz on the ballot, you got to understand, even you got the electoral college, you got the popular vote, but this may be a situation where Trump actually win the electoral college and the popular vote as well, because who's going to go down deep South? Who's going to go down in Iowa? Who's going to go down in Arkansas? Who's going to go down in Alabama, Mississippi? Okay, because when you think about a VP from a strategic perspective, historically, from the Democratic Party, there's always been a Democratic Southerner on the ticket. Even when Barack Obama selected Joe Biden as his running mate, it was strategic. Joe Biden is on record, says he's from Delaware and that's the South. So Joe Biden was able to woo and the racist, white Democrats to actually vote for, us. He basically promoted him, and he's on record saying Obama was clean and, he didn't have any dirt on this record. So Joe was able to, go down there in the South and communicate and swing the voters. And if you go back to history, when John F. Kennedy needed to win, he went and picked the racist running mate down in the state of Texas, and look where we at. And then B. Johnson. So just think about, in a time in the 60s, he needed Lyndon B. Johnson on that ticket. He needed Lyndon B. Johnson on that ticket so he can actually get the white votes on his side. Think about that. Get the segregationists, get the white only. And this is how John F. Kennedy was able to win the election. And then you see what happened. Okay, Bill Clinton, Al Gore, but Bill Clinton is a white Southerner himself. So he was able to get the South, and he was able to go north and get the vote north as well. And Al Gore in the state of Florida, one of the largest black populations known to man, and one of the conservative states, and it can actually be classified as a swing state. This is, strategic. But when I look at the Democratic Party, Tim Waltz, we went from twerking to the waltz. Now we're waltzing now. And he's a ultra conservative white who happens to be a Democrat, who's the governor of if not the one of the whitest states in the union. 77% of the population in the state of Minnesota is white, non-Hispanic. And that's a fact. And if you want a population, it is only 7%. So I'm really flabbergasted. So, it is what it is. But like I said, we're interactive. We like to communicate. So I got a few in the comments. Let me see here. Was godly fellow human? Okay. Let me see here. Who was the pick? The pick was Governor Tim Waltz. And that's Governor Tim Waltz from the state of Minnesota. Governor Tim Waltz. Okay, and Timothy James Waltz is an American politician, former U.S. non-commissioned officer, meaning he was in the reserve, and retired educator who has served as the 41st governor of the state of Minnesota since 2019. Now, a member of the Democratic Party, he is the presumptive nominee for the vice president in the 2024 United States presidential election. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Can you... Let me see here. Could you imagine if the Democratic Party, as progressive as they are, okay, would have put like a Raphael Warnock or Hakeem Jeffries, we put a bolo out on Cory Booker. And then just imagine if they would have put Pete Buttigieg. We call him Pete Booty Butt. And just imagine if they put him on the ticket. To me, that would have galvanized the party and united the party. Because what I'm saying is when you talk all of this crap and then you go ahead and get a old white man to be on the ballot, not even from the South, because you got to understand the Southern strategy. The Southern strategy is how you win the presidency. Remember when the Republicans a few years ago was talking about, the red wave. The red wave never happened. Okay. Because they were banking on the South to really separate from the Democratic Party. So when you talk about a red wave, you're going to have a tidal wave because the Democratic Party has not even solidified the black vote in the South. There's more black Democrats promoting MAGA, promoting Trump, flipping to the other side than we've ever seen before. Trump got 19% of the black vote. And from a historical perspective, that's the most the Republican Party has gotten ever in existence, and more importantly, since the Voting Rights Act of 1905. So if this was a stock and if this is a trend, so you're looking at Trump maybe getting, in the 20% of the black voters. And these are registered Democrats. And if you did not know, 47% of all registered voters are registered as nonpartisan independents, are registered as no party preference. And just think about that. So this is why when you talk about the polls, a lot of these swing voters or the nonpartisans or the people who are registered as no party preference, they don't get a chance to vote in the primary, and they don't get to pretty much get the emails to take the surveys, to take the polls. So this is why during an election year, it swings either way. So we got to be careful. We got to be careful and pay attention. And, like I said, this is pretty much talk radio, whatever you want to call it. But, we're going to let's have this conversation. Let me see here. Thank you for the information. I appreciate that. Never heard of him. And I never heard of him as well. And that's, be brave, be babe. Him as well. So I'm sure when I go online tomorrow and go to Google Trends, he's probably going to be the most Google or individual, because I'm sure Democrats all over this country are sitting back like, wait a minute. Like, what, wait. We went from Megan Thee Stallion, from the LGBTQ community and pride. And now we going back to the white man. Oh, where's he from? The state of Minnesota, which is probably arguably one of the whitest states in the union, which is 77% white. And so it is what it is. So how y'all doing this morning? So let me see here. I'm saying? I'm a 46-year-old. Let me see here from the Pacific Northwest. Let me see here. Okay. So listen, what's y'all thoughts on that? Like I said, put it in the comments. I'm going to be all in these comments today because, like I said, I'm working on some new software. I've been looking at some of the videos. They get choppy a lot of time. They're trying to mess with my feed, but we got the software. So, this is the last week of doing it this way. So next week, hit those notifications because we're going to be going up and we're going to have these conversations, because my question is, did they hold the election? And it seems like it's strategic. And if you understand military, if you understand the United States, it's about regime change and nation build. Regime change and nation build. We go into foreign countries, change the regime and nation build. So they literally have regime changed the Democratic Party because it went from a progressive movement to having a black woman or a Indo-Jamaican candidate on who pretty much got the seat by default because nobody voted for her. All of these delegates went to her from Biden. And when she ran for president, she only got through 2 primaries because she wasn't likable. All her dirty laundry, in the sense of, the presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, is coming to fruition because a lot of her, past, assistants or past workers are coming out the woodworks and pretty much throwing her under the bus because since she's been in office, 91% of her cabinet have left. So when you talk about 91%, that's only 9% that's still there. Why did they leave and why are they not supporting? Because they're saying she got a bad attitude. She's mean. This is why when she's in front of the camera, she's pretty much a character because she's not showing her true self. It's crazy of where we're going today when it comes to American politics. And I, video yesterday and because the question, the elephant in the room is she black? So I broke it down from an ethnicity perspective because Americans here in the United States translate as Black Americans, but she is a immigrant daughter. She's a daughter to immigrants. Her mother, is Indian, from India. Her father, a biracial from Jamaica. So from a definition perspective, her ethnicity, in which they force us to deal with, because if they force us to talk about race, the world would be a better place. So since they force us to identify with ethnicity, they classify us as African Americans here in the United States. So classification in the United States is, you ready? Indo-Jamaican. So a lot of individuals, got in the comments, on the live feed and video I uploaded, and they were pretty much trying to defend her and trying to support and say this and say that. But my question is, how do you guys feel now? What do you have to say now? Because this does not look good. There is no path to victory. And pretty much they turned to a old white man. Well, he's not old. Well, he's 60. Let me see here. I'm online right now. And he's 60 years old. April 6, 1964. So he's 60 years old. He just looked like he's 75. But that looked like a slave handler in a movie. If you look at him, the way that he looked, when you receding hairline with the white hair on the side. I mean, what is his purpose? Is he going to be able to go down to the deep South? Is he going to be able to go down to the deep South and swing some voters? I think not. So this is crazy because I really don't understand. And I truly believe, and from a political strategist perspective, I believe that, they're rigging the election. I believe that the handlers, the shadow governments have a decision to pretty much guarantee Donald J. Trump the presidency. And when I was doing the research yesterday to actually do a video, come to find out Kamala Harris' father's name is Donald J. as well. So this is crazy. I really don't get it. Let me see here. God help us all. So this is the whole premise of what's really going on, because God is in control. He's always. And I had a premonition after the last election, and we came up with an ideal, to basically show the 2-party system that we will not be supporting. And now that they, Kamala Harris and her VP, Kat, and her VP selection is pretty much Tim Waltz from Minnesota. The Democrats are trying to figure out what they're going to do. So now the third coalition is actually getting stronger and gaining momentum. So we're literally organizing and putting together a third-party coalition as a protest vote against the 2-party system. More importantly, the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party makes promises, to people, make promises to the minorities. They pretty much keep, it's kind of like Charlie Brown moving the goalpost. So we got to understand that these individuals have a job to do, and their job is to get you to vote for them for every 4 years. And the promises that they make are promises that they can't keep and won't keep. But if we're going to change this great nation to be a more perfect union, then we really got to understand that we, the people, America is not a democratic republic. It's a constitutional republic. And the letterhead or the title of that says, we the people. People are literally organizing in the middle. But when I say in the middle, in between the two rivaling tribes. Now, if you are a Democrat, this selection, okay, as vice president is not a pathway to, and literally it's going to, your feelings are going to be hurt. So I don't see how the Democratic Party, the LGBTQ community, the progressives, you know, the Karens, the whites and all that could rally behind a party that just alienated the entire country, because you don't have Southern strategy. You don't have an individual that could go down to the South. You got a governor from the state of Minnesota, and then you got a progressive black woman from the state of California, and where she's from, San Francisco, pretty much one of the most liberal cities in the country. That does not resonate when it comes to electoral college. And this is why the forefathers, they put that in, because you got to resonate in all 50 states. But where is he going to go? Okay, let me tell you this. Strategic perspective, J.D. Vance pretty much is going to own the Midwest. That's why Donald Trump actually put him in there. He resonates with the people. But you got a conservative white man in there in the sense of Tim Waltz. This does not make any sense. And how they going to sell this? Okay, because somebody made the decision and they got to do what they're told. And this is what happened when you elected official, because you got to follow the money. So God help us all. Yes, you know, I'm saying, yes, he's in, you know, good versus evil here. No, it's evil versus evil. Remember, it was a lesser of the two evils. And last time that I checked, evil is evil. Satan and Lucifer is the same thing. So it's trash and garbage. We need a third party. And I'm so glad that you said that, Miss Kelly, because our third party candidate, and it's a thing, and I do presentations out here in California on this, and you're going to hear about this. We're writing in Jesus Christ because on election day, we want our third party option to actually trend. Okay, Ross Perot got 19%, I believe, in 1992. And Miss Kelly, thanks for the comment and thanks for, you know, chiming in. No disrespect, but in 2016, when Trump versus Hillary, there was a protest vote in the Carolinas, and I believe it was South Carolina. And men in South Carolina, organized by black men, they wrote in a presidential candidate by the name of D's Nuts, DEEZNUTS. D's Nuts got 9% of the state when it comes to voting. And on the election day, when they showed the state's breakdown, they had Trump winning. They had Hillary Clinton, who lost to Trump by 4%. And then they had an independent write-in candidate, and his name was D's Nuts. So that is the litmus test that we're using to organize the third party, because if we go in the ballot box and write in Jesus Christ on election day, and on election day, they see, you know, he's not going to win. He's not going to place but he's going to show on CNN, NBC, all the major networks, ABC 9. They're going to sit back and see the third party candidate who came in third. And usually it's a libertarian, you know, a Green Party, Jill Stein or a Gary Johnson a few years back. And at best, they get approximately like 3%. So if we can get Jesus Christ as a write-in candidate to in the double digits, we will break history. And we will literally break up the two-party system, because they're going to sit back and say, whoever becomes president is going to win by default. Okay, he's going to win by default. And they're going to say, whoa, if it wasn't for that third party, and they're going to look and they're going to say, if it wasn't for Jesus Christ, I would not be in this office. And who are these individuals that voted for Jesus Christ? And this is when we show up at the White House. This is, we can organize as a unified organization, you know, as one race, the human race, not blacks, not whites, not Latins, not Asian, you know, or anything in between, not lesbian, not gay, as human beings that's going to fight for the right of the people. Because these two rivaling tribes, they say they got to beat Trump, but we want to beat poverty. They say we got to beat Trump, but we want to beat, you know, homelessness. We want to, you know, Trump, we got to beat, you know, the failing public school system. We want to beat crime. So the only way we can do this is to organize in the middle, away from the two rivaling tribes, because if we are connected with those two tribes, then we'll be guilty by association. And as a black heterosexual man, there's no way I can have a voice in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I would just have to go along and get along with both sides, whether I like it or not. But this is crazy. So Jesus Christ is king. So I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, this is why when I have these conversations and people ask me, so what is that going to do? I'm saying I'm going on record and I'm putting in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because me, as a person who reads the Bible, as a deacon in my church, an individual who basically understands how it works, I focus on the book of Matthew. And the book of Matthew is when Jesus' ministry first started. And the first thing that he said, and it's in red, repent because the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And second was follow me because I'll make you fishers of men. So I already repented him and I'm fishing. And I'm throwing in the bait of Jesus Christ as a safe vote and a safe selection for the 2024 presidential election. And that's what we're doing, because the two-party system is rigged. The two-party system is no different than the scribes and the Pharisees in the Bible. The scribes are your liberals, your journalists, the mainstream media. Your Pharisees were your conservative hypocrites. Okay. And it's on record that the high priests, the bishops and all of these individuals were the catalyst to get rid of Christ because they knew that he will bottom line. And this is why they will shadow ban us and shut us out of their, system and want us to be stereotypical followers of what they got going on. But we as individuals, we're adults here. Slavery ended supposedly the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865. Okay. But then in the Civil Rights Act, slavery pretty much was added on from a mental perspective and from a criminal justice perspective, because the 13th Amendment has a criminalization clause. And we as Christ, as true believers, we can actually, fight for or put together a amendment of the 13th Amendment, which we would take, the profiting out of prisons. Because right now it is advantageous to have, people in prison because these private prisons are trading on Wall Street. And in the state prison systems, the states get more money to house prisoners than it does to educate. And that's a big problem. So we really got to understand what's going on. So the Democratic Party as a whole, and I'm really got to double down on this, did they just blow the election? And I'm going to, if I was a betting man, I would actually bet and I would say, yeah, because, those 10 delegates in the state of Minnesota is that important. And then I thought about it. Why would they get this guy from Minnesota? Oh, they lost a squad member. Remember Ilhan Omar, the squad? She was responsible for literally Joe Biden, getting the black vote, Muslim votes, and the votes from the state of Minnesota. But as a Muslim female, she's out because of what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in her home country of genocide in Somalia. Think about that. And then when you look at the state of Illinois, Rashida Tlaib, the largest Palestinian population in the state is in the state of Illinois. And Rashida Tlaib is a squad member. And when Netanyahu came and spoke to the Joint House, they protested and turned their back and listened to him speak with their backs turned, because the Democratic Party, and this is factual, fact check, is funding genocide to the Palestinians in Gaza. It's a fact. So how are they going to win? Now, there was Jewish candidates on the ballot, but, in the state of Pennsylvania, Virginia, they can count on, the individuals to basically help and assist what they're trying to do. But I really don't understand this selection. And as a black female, maybe she was intimidated by the other guy. Maybe they had a strong leadership, because usually, you keep your friends close, your enemies even closer. But she did not want to select her replacement. If Pete Buttigieg was to go campaigning, he's more presidential, regardless if he's gay or not. And then the other individuals that she could have actually picked on the ballot, these were alpha males. Okay, and individuals would sit back and say, well, he's a little smarter than her. We respect him more than her. So that's from an intimidation factor. So she went and picked an individual from a state that only had 10 delegates or 10 electoral college votes, and the whitest states in the union. 77% of the population is classified as white according to the 2020 census. 7% black. So what is she doing? Did she make the decision? Is she protecting her career by selecting someone that's not presidential, that could not resonate across the country. Because when you really look at the picture, the game is chess, not checkers. But these guys are literally playing checkers. Okay, because like I said, from a Trump perspective, for him to get JD Vance from Ohio, a Midwest, young, okay, the son of a parent who suffered through addiction, raised by his grandparents, came from literally trailer park. So that would resonate all through the Midwest, that would resonate there. Okay, more so than it would literally resonate on the Democratic side. But from a conservative perspective, they're consolidating the white vote. So now you're getting the conservative white, right-wing Republicans, and then you're getting, the trailer park white really used to be Democrats or probably still Democrats, but they're literally seen because of the likability and the story of success of JD Vance. And that's crazy. And as I look at welcome, from Flint, Michigan. Okay. I've been to Flint. One of my roommates in college was from Flint, Michigan. And on the way, on one of the spring breaks, I was able to, take a ride or a road trip from Central State, Ohio, Wilberforce, Ohio, up down to Flint, Michigan. We stayed there about 6 days. So, like I said, I'm well traveled, but I'm here in sunny Los Angeles, California. But this is crazy because this thing, so about the population in the state, about Ilhan Omar and all of that. So think about it and just be totally honest and transparent and frank that this thing is, like I said, the Democrats just blow the election. Did they just blow the election? I mean, this is crazy because I'm sitting here trying to figure out, the reaction and the response. Like, what are they going to think about? Like, how does that make a true Democrat? How does that make it? You know what I'm saying? We still have no clean water. And I apologize for that. And like I said, if we was one nation under God and we was all unified as a culture and our own movement, we can actually demand and make sure that you get your necessities and your bare essentials right there. But if you sitting back, debating Republican and Democrat, we're going to sit back and, things don't even happen. But when we talk democracy, this is something probably the worst thing that could have ever happened to this country, because democracy was supposed to die in the civil rights era. Democracy was supposed to die in the Emancipation Proclamation, the Civil War, because democracy is the catalyst and the political party that tears down this country. Because look at what happened with the George Floyd riots. Those were Democrats protesting. Okay, and look what's going on with the protesting right now. These are Democrats. I've never seen a conservative visual, whether black, white, or indifferent, that will literally tear down his own home or his own country. So this is what I'm saying. So to confirm what I'm saying, I would say last week I looked up the top worst cities in America. And out of the top 10 worst cities in America, which was crime and poverty, 18 of the states were Democratic states that were ran by Democratic. One city was pretty much Stockton, California, which had a Republican, and then the state of Nevada, who has an independent. So if we organize as nonpartisan independents, we can actually pretty much write our own ticket. Because if we continue to be on these two rivaling tribes, caught in a crossfire, because they don't like each other, how can a nation stand divided when our Pledge of Allegiance says indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? And then when you hear, Obama or people or Democrats speak, well, we work, we're not there, we got a long way to go. No, we're here right now. And if we're organizing this election and support a third party candidate, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, here in America, we could change the game. Because America is a God-fearing republic, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we are a God-fearing nation. So why not? Why not? We can actually go in the record books in 2024. In 2024, Jesus Christ got 26% vote from a write-in perspective because they decided to end the two-party system. And now Democrats got to go. And if they want us to come back, they're going to have to really do their jobs in the sense of, coming together, being bipartisan in our southern border, getting inflation down. I've been seeing these commercials and these ads about Kamala Harris. Oh, the America that I believe in, I believe that, no, you want to be the United States. At this point in time, we need you to say exactly what you're going to do day one. That's what Trump is saying. Trump said day one, he's going to shut the border down. Day one, he's going to drill, baby, drill. And if we pull this Jesus Christ campaign, we're going to get him to sign an executive action of reparations. Okay, because we are, going in as the freedmen, nonpartisan independents. So let me get in these comments. Let me check out the Democracy Flint is family. Please, I will look at today. I will do my due diligence today. Okay, and I appreciate that. Keep tapping in. If you haven't, hit that subscription, hit that notification. Okay, and we got a Dr. C in the building. Now, the two-party system no longer serves the people. Clearly, it no longer serves the people, because if the two-party system served the people will be happy about the Democratic election of vice president. Nobody know who the heck Tim Waltz is. We went from twerking to now we're doing the waltz. Okay. I mean, that's confusing. And from a humanistic perspective, I gotta basically just think that she's protecting her best interests, because if she hired, somebody with a polarizing personality, if she selected an individual as VP, that's more popular, that's more of a people-oriented person, that's more, got more Instagram followers, that got more Twitter followers, it would pretty much hurt her. Okay, just like Biden hired her, and he'd been calling her president for a very long time, but he was spilling the beans because this was the play the whole time. Now, let me see here. Let's face it. The woman did not pick the VP, and that's from Marty. Well, I mean, I wish I had because you get the prize because you're 100% right. And what Marty is saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the shadow government, the evildoers in high places, the hand behind the scenes, the people that we don't see, made that selection and that choice. And he's going to actually have to come out and accept it for what it is. So like I aforementioned, if you just jumping on, it seems like there's a regime change going on in the party, because how did you progressively move, to this point, go on record? Donald Trump wants us to go backwards and talk about, the Project 2025, in which we're going to talk about, okay, down the road. Donald Trump, we don't want to go back, and we don't. Okay, so I'm thinking as a progressive, select a progressive candidate for VP, but then you go backwards and select a conservative white Democrat. That's the governor of one of the whitest states in the union. And like I said, looked it up this morning, 77%, according to the 2020 census, is white. The population of black in the state of Minnesota is only 7%. And the entire population is between St. Paul and Annapolis. Okay, let me see here. Somebody's redacting their message. But listen, this thing is crazy. So she didn't pick it. I agree with you. We're going to face that, Marty. She didn't. The thing about, the parties and the two-party system that has, us with, voter anxiety or, raised hairs on the back of our necks is really who's making, the moves, who's making the call. Because I've heard Biden on many times say, this is against my pay grade. Okay, like, what do you mean? You're the sitting president. And this is why, the country resonates with Donald J. Trump, because it appears that he may not have handlers behind him. And if he does not listen to him. He pretty much does what he wants to do. And a lot of people like that because, if you're Italian, we would say, he got big balls, he got heart, he got courage. So this is why, they'll throw everything at him, including the kitchen sink, because of, how he's not political and how he tries to run this country as one of his organizations, and how he looks out for the people, because he's looking out not only for himself, but he's looking out for average American. Because when you lower taxes, okay, that's a good thing for the working man. When you take capital gains taxes down from 49% down to 20%, that helps the working class, middle class man. When you pretty much take away, government regulatories and, stop the, slow regulations and do things like that, that's actually helping the working class individual, because policy over party. When you look at the parties, the Republican resonates with red-blooded Americans. The Democratic Party, they want to support everything but red-blooded Americans. This is how they have a non-African American as the VP candidate, because she is Indo-Jamaican. Okay, she was born of immigrant parents who migrated to this country after the civil rights era, because she don't have connectability. And then by her not being a mother, JD Vance, talk to angry Catwoman. See, when you're not a mother, you really don't really look at your, at how the world is for your children's children. You basically just looking out for yourself, and you're not looking out for your children's children. So if you want to leave this country or make this country or leave it a better place is when we're here, then it's our job to basically make a move and do what we need to do. But one thing I do know is that we are no longer on the two-party system chessboard anymore. They knocked all the pawns off. And right now, this selection that the Harris team or the Democratic Party or the Democratic Convention brought to us, Tim Waltz literally unprotected the queen. So now she's could be affected. She could be affected because you got two individuals. You got a left winger, okay, and left wing extremist. Her father is a renowned Marxist. So she's a far lefty, coming from one of the most liberal states in the union, California. Okay, so how can that resonate with the country? And then you throw in Tim Waltz from Minnesota. From a strategic mapping perspective, they left the whole country unlocked, because the Southern strategy clearly is going to go to Donald Trump, and they are on Kamala Harris, I guess. So if Kamala Harris is going down south and they're doing these concerts with Meg Thee Stallion and anybody else that will show up, and then you have running mate who's the pillar opposite of that, game recognized game. It's literally a joke. It's going to be a tough sell. It's kind of like, this is a world of dogs, but then you got a dog and a cat, running on the party when the dogs is not going to vote for a cat. Okay, because I don't see white women supporting Harris. I don't see conservative white men voting for Harris. I don't see the Democratic Party swinging anybody. Okay, they're going to lose. And today, their Democratic election, when it comes to the vice presidency, they pretty much lost voters, because I'm telling you, the third party coalition has just gotten stronger, because every time, we talk and have these conversations, we literally understand that it is our constitutional right to vote. And it is our constitutional right to vote for who we so choose, not who they say. Okay, we didn't pick the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party picked us because the Democratic Party association with Black Americans translate through slavery. So now we're here in 2024, and we have an opportunity to pretty much show the party that party over. Okay, because the lost cause came out post Civil War, but for whatever reason, they was able to reinvent themselves, put a criminalization clause through Reconstruction, this chain gang, all of that. And they did not visit it until the civil rights. And then Lyndon B. Johnson doubled down as well. Put in mass incarceration, sent brothers to wars to fight people of color and got them hooked on drugs, and then the welfare state. So now, we're back. Just like the Democratic Party, we can look at the Democratic Party as an example, because they went back to the white man. Because just imagine we'd have woke up this morning and Raphael Warnock, a brother and a sister, that would have kind of galvanized. Okay, just imagine if she said, Hakeem Jeffries. Think about that. And even with Pete Buttigieg, he's a openly gay, person, but he's conservative. Nobody cares about your sexual orientation. Okay. But in a sense of being the Secretary of Transportation, and in the sense of, being able to resonate in certain communities, that would have helped you more than this guy from Minnesota, who is the land of 10,000 lakes. Okay. I got a couple comments going in. Exciting times in politics, man. Listen, get your popcorn ready. Remember Terrell Owens, just popcorn ready, because you ain't seen nothing yet. And just understanding every election is an October surprise. So we waiting. And I'm telling you, if we somehow come together as one race to human and stand in the gap as Jesus did, You know, between the scribe and Pharisees, when he was on the cross and when he died and rose again, he left a spot for us. So instead of us supporting either side and being sad on election, because it's going to be winners and losers. Somebody's going to be extremely happy. Somebody's going to be sad, and it's going to cause more division. So just think about when the NBA finals come to town and there's only 2 teams playing and your team's not in there, or the Super Bowl come to town. 2 teams playing, but your team's not there. But you love football and you love basketball. So you just watch the game from a strategic perspective and be entertained and strategy and watch the plays and do all of this. But whoever wins, you just saw a good game. But just imagine if the Cowboys was playing and they lost to a Hail Mary. Them Cowboy fans going to be crying. So this is what's going to happen on election day. You know, these Democrats are going to be crying because they're being hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, and they're going to be running amok because whoever decided to put the governor of Minnesota, Tim Waltz, on the ticket literally just canceled out the Democratic Party and ended democracy. Democracy's dead. Okay. Figuratively, democracy is dead. Okay, because democracy relies on a 2-party system, and it relies in all of its existence is pretty much to be the opposition of the Republican Party. So now that the Republican Party is going to get rid of its opposition, so we got to align ourselves not as but as constitutional theocrats, meaning, you know, let's follow that constitution. Okay, let's fight for the rights of all mankind. Let's fight for the right individuals in this country. Let's fight for the win-win, meaning there should not be winners and losers. America should not be sending billions and billions of dollars of foreign aid to foreign countries until it handles what it has to handle here. Just like Tupac got money for war, we can't feed the poor. America is a rich, great nation, but it won't be that nation unless a group of brave people make an educated decision and to leave the 2-party system alone. It's kind of like thinking on us to just live and die in the wilderness, just like in the book of Exodus. Okay, only survived. Okay, and those 2 survivors created something to give us some type of hope, or beacons of hope in their day and in biblical times, because it's showing us what we need to do today. And if you did not know, the Bible is a book of governments that contains religion. It's a book of governments that contains religion. And we are going with the individual, nonpartisan, independent Jesus Christ, who basically said in the book of Matthew, if the scribes, Pharisees, literally in today's time, if the Democrats, Republicans have more righteousness than my people who are called by my name, my people will not see the kingdom of heaven. So I'm putting his name on the line because I want to go to heaven. And to go to heaven, you need to put his name on the ballot as well. And then we're going to sit back and enjoy the show. And then when his name pop up on TV and how Fox News, MSNBC, Newsmax, ABC, CBS, how they be sitting back saying, wow, you know, Jesus Christ is on the ballot. So we're literally going to go on record and show the world, and whoever wins by default, we will always have a seat at the table. You know, the Prime Minister of Israel was here in this country, and he sat down with Joe Biden. He sat down with Kamala Harris and First Man Doug. And then he spent the weekend in Mar-a-Lago with Trump. I'm jealous and envy of that. So why can't the black community, you know, go in and represent humanity and sit with the elected officials to fight for the rights of his community and other communities in common around this country? But they're sitting back, capitalizing and making money and continue to tear this country down when you got, you know, 18 of the top 20 worst cities when it comes to crime and poverty are under Democratic leadership. This is crazy. We got to figure this thing out. And it is exciting times in politics. So I'll go to the polls and vote up and down the ballot. But for the prayers, I'm writing in Jesus Christ. I need a bell. You know, how you look at the radio show. Ding, 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 ding. That's what I'm talking about. So this coalition is going to continue to get strong. Because the backlash on Tim Waltz, and just think about it. The backlash on Tim Waltz is pretty much going to have them pretty much strategically trying to figure it out. And these people who selected him might have her up out of there. We never know. We never know. Let me see here. Harris Waltz, you know, her ass Waltz, dancing around the house. Okay, so listen, they went from twerking with Megan Thee Stallion to waltzing. The hair ass Waltz. I like that. I like that. So we need to get some t-shirts. So get caught. So listen, man, How do y'all really feel? You know what I'm saying? So this is what we see history perspective, 5, 6, 10, 20 years from now. We're going to go back these days and times and say, wow, the Democratic Party literally, imploded from within. Because remember the squad, Omar and Rashida Tlaib and all of these individuals, Cory Booker and Hakeem, where they at? Where they at? And they're not supporting the Democratic Party. The Palestinians will not be supporting the Democratic Party this election. They will not, because they're Muslim. Okay? The Somalian community will not be supporting the Democratic Party. Why? They're Muslim as well. And what is America doing? Aiding and abetting the demise of Muslim people in Gaza. And if you think about all the money that's being spent, we send in Zelensky, Ukraine, a whole bunch of money, billions of dollars, Israel, billions of dollars, Taiwan, billions of dollars. Here in California, we're invested in the homeless population, billions of dollars. But then the working class and the middle class is sitting back wondering, what we gonna do? This is why we can't support the Democratic Party no more. This is why we gotta write in our Lord and Savior on this ballot so we can get rid of the party, because their democracy is anti-American and anti-Christ. Okay, because Joe Biden is classified and he's on record as saying that he is a Zionist. Harris' husband, Doug, is Jewish. He's a Zionist. Individuals that put her in office, think about it. The mainstream media, look at media, mass media. These are Jewish individuals came to this country, assimilated as whites. Now their true colors are shining because they have, put themselves onto the Democratic Party. They have issue with red-blooded American citizens. They don't like red-blooded American citizens. This is why, for whatever reason, from a political perspective, they keep the southern border wide open. How you put a gate around your home? Why would you leave your southern border open so an influx of individuals, foreign agitators, can come into this country? See, love this country. Okay, these are Democrats. Think about that. And they might find a way to somehow, get these individuals, the right to vote. They know how to steal and cheat, because to my understanding, all the individuals that came into this country in the terms of millions were strategically placed in just different places in the country. If they got public assistance, they was able to register to vote. So they will be voting. So when, we talk about protesting and sitting out, no, we can't do that. Okay, we can't do that. And one thing that I'm going to be fighting for is to make sure that this election, that they count the ballots all night. You don't pause it and then come back in the morning and run the machines and run the AI and do all of that. But this is why. And the reason we got to show up, and to my individuals and my friends and family that sit back and say, I ain't even going to vote. You have to go in and vote, because if you don't vote, they have the ability to cast your ballot on party lines. And if you didn't know, 27% of registered voters are Democrats, and somehow 27% of registered voters are Republicans. But this is the key. 47% of registered voters are nonpartisan independents, which are literally swing voters. And on a daily basis, they're joining the Jesus campaign and the Jesus Christ coalition, because we got to replace democracy, theocracy, because democracy is ruled by the devil. That's democracy. Demon, diablo, or devil. The root word of demo, the word krat, is to rule or by in the Greek. So theocracy, theo means God. If you go to theology school, ology, to study of, you're studying God. Krat, to rule or rule by. Theocrat. So the theocrats will be on the ballot, will show up, write in our third party candidate, which is Jesus Christ. And you who are leaning towards Dr. Cornel West, join us. Don't waste your vote with Cornel West. We need to make a statement. For the individuals that want to vote for RFK, write in Jesus Christ. That man is weird. He's crazy. He talking about he put a bear in Central Park. I mean, he's just sitting back. Maybe he drinking too much. I don't know what's going on, but he's not going to get enough to make an impact. So I would say, if you are leaning, never Trump, never Harris, or if you're an individual that's a swing voter and you are a Democrat and you just can't support what they're doing, then you're going to have to join this movement. And this is literally the movement of our lifetimes, and this will actually go in the history books, because in 2024, if on election day we could get Jesus Christ to trend his to pop up on TV in the sum of double digits as a write-in independent candidate, we will literally change not only the United States of America, but because we would have to go on record and they would have to say, you know, we see you, we hear you, what do you want, how do you want it? And if they want our vote in 2028, that's what's going to happen. So, man, listen, it's been a minute. You know, we've been on here for a while. I'm just going through these comments. Okay, let me see here. Let me see who's the pick. Okay, we already went through that. JD, that's JD Vance's Trump, but Tim Waltz from Minnesota. And if you just tuned in, Timothy James Waltz is an American politician, former U.S. commissioned officer and retired educator who has served as the 41st governor in Minnesota since 2019. A member of the Democratic Party. He is the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, and he's in the Midwest, upper Midwest in Minnesota, which is literally irrelevant. And I think the powers that be done made a call that they got to get rid of American democracy. You know, sometimes you're too early, sometimes you're too late, but at the end of the day, all things come to an end. And let me see, never heard of him. Hey, neither have I. Let me see here. God help us. Listen, and God is going to help us. I'm going through these comments, and you know, this is why we write it in Jesus, because we write in Jesus Christ. God helps us, what she said. Jesus Christ 2024, our only hope. Okay? And this is what we're doing. Tell a friend what we're doing. We can't support this two-party system. Okay, man. Yeah, he is good versus evil. Nope. Remember, we're not going to change the narrative. It's lesser of the two evils, and there's no such a thing. So literally, the two-party system is, or Satan, take your pick. And the third-party candidate, you know, that's trending right now is the write-in candidate, Jesus Christ. Okay, I got a brilliant thank you. Jesus is king. Yes, he is. Nice. Okay, let me see here. Okay, got Flint, Michigan in the building. Okay, we got some overseas in the building. You know, I believe that's some military people. Okay, and I believe that's it. So listen, you guys have an amazing day. You have just tuned into a Back America Talk radio show. And next week, man, pray for me, pray for us, because we're going to get that new software and we're going to go in, because we're starting to trend. You know, we're getting new subscribers on a daily basis. The numbers are starting to show. So I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys have a great day. And this is your man, Bushan Glover, signing out. A Better Black America TV on YouTube. Peace out.